Hey, it's GeekD podcast. We're back. It's Friday morning, sort of. Thinko, yes.
Something
I'm
like
working
that.
on I'm working on my coffee. Okay, so yeah, and I'm I'm a little scatterbrained this morning because I spent most of yesterday recovering my machine.
What?
Yeah, I was trying to do some cleaning up. Oh, before I forget, I'm joined. See, that means scatterbrain. That voice you hear, if you're listening to the audio or if you're seeing it, you'll see his name there. It's Paul O'Flaherty, also known as Paul O'Flaherty, just about everywhere, including Twitter. I'm Stephen Hodson, otherwise known as the Cranky Canuck, and it's well applied, so beware. Yesterday I was doing some cleaning of my machine, like software-wise and settings-wise, and I must have removed the wrong setting because all of a sudden, when I went to open OneNote, it said, "No, you're fucked." So I figured, okay, well, do the good old reboot. Maybe that'll fix it. Go in the reboot, and up comes the blue screen along the bottom, performing diagnostic, and I'm going, oh fuck, I'm screwed, right? I figured, okay, I'm if it's this bad, I'm facing, having to reinstall the OS and update to, the Windows 10 and do all this shit. Thank God for Windows Refresh.
Yes, Windows Restore. Yeah,
it is absolutely fucking amazing. Sure, I've got a list of software that I have to reinstall. It's an arm long, but the basic fact is, within about 30 minutes, I had a almost spanked.
Why did you have to reinstall your software? Why didn't you just go back to like 2 days ago?
Because I did a refresh, not a restore, refresh.
Okay.
Right.
So why didn't you just do a restore? Like 2 days ago.
I didn't think of it.
I have no sympathy for you then. Oh, speaking of no sympathy, you know who else I have no sympathy for? Anybody ever who listens to the advice of a computer person that tells them to turn off Windows Restore.
Yeah.
Or turn off Windows updates. Yeah. No.
Well, you remember how, like, whenever a new Windows came out, you get this spate of tips, and it always involved saving time or making it boot faster by cutting out, services that you don't supposedly need.
Yeah, most of those services are there for a reason. They don't, they don't tend to put services in.
The only services you can safely really turn off are the ones that the software you install start.
Yeah.
But depending on the software.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some services that start automatically on startup that you can set to be manual so that they only come on when they're actually called. Yeah. To save you on startup time. And I suppose if you never ever use the print dialog, you could turn off the print services. That's about it, really.
Yeah, like I always shook my head because it was like, turn off this and turn off that. Like, remember Blackadder? I think his name was Blackadder. He always came out with this massive list of stuff that you could turn off. And he was like, it was the Bible of the power users of what you could turn off.
Yeah, it was the Bible of power users. But the problem is, when you start turning off things like Windows Restore and all that sort of stuff, when something does go wrong, you've now put yourself in this nasty position of either A, I have to start from scratch, or B, reinstall from a backup media that I have otherwise created. Whereas, Windows Backup and the Restore, same as Time Machine on Mac, it doesn't take up a lot of resources.
No.
If it's taking up... Here's the thing. If you need on your Windows computer to go in and turn off resources in order to get a minuscule amount of performance gain, you have bigger problems. You are dead right. Yeah. You need to be looking at upgrading CPU, hard drive, memory, something, or everything. Yeah. The savings are not that much.
I noticed that even when I increased the RAM in my machine now, like with the most recent upbuild from 8 to 16, it made a fucking massive difference.
Well, you'd be surprised where it makes a difference. Like, one of my clients, they use for their EMR system, right, for their medical record system. You know, they've got this stonking great big server that has everything running on it, right? So like the SQL database is running on it, and that does all that it's got to do. Yeah. But the manufacturers of the EMR also require that you have like this standalone desktop PC elsewhere on the network, and it just acts as kind of like a not a backup of the database, but it just keeps track of everything that happens that day.
The transactions.
Yeah, so you've got sort of like an immediate batch of records. If that thing dies, you can still basically carry on with your business while that's being reset up. It doesn't really handle a lot of traffic, you would think. But the performance boost across the network just by increasing the amount of memory available to that machine was phenomenal. You know, and we're not talking about disk write speeds or anything. We're just talking about RAM, you know. And I assume because it, does a lot of the transactions in memory before writing it. But yeah, I mean, RAM is...
Good RAM is basically dirt cheap.
And it's dirt cheap. Yeah. Now, once you go above 8 gigs, you're not really going to see incrementally massive performance gains unless you're doing, high-end graphics work, video work, that sort of stuff. But if you're doing day-to-day office web, maybe, average games, whatnot, you're not going to see a lot of difference by upping your RAM above 8 gigs. But, stick an SSD in there for performance, upgrade your processor as far as you can go, beef up your graphics card, massive performance gains. Spend $20 before... basically fucking with the OS that you're not qualified to mess with.
Yeah, you're definitely not qualified to mess with. Listen, I've been working in tech for, since the age of the XT. And I can still make a mistake like that.
We all can.
It's just, that's just the basic facts of, being a tech in the computer world. You can make mistakes. And when you turn off shit like that, you're basically cutting yourself off at the knees.
Look, I'll give you an example story, right? Myself and another guy from another company, we do this shit for a living, right?
Yeah.
We went to a client's office recently. Should have been a really quick job. We were removing the 2003 server from their network because that's going to be EOL in June or July. So that has to go. They already had an 08 server there already. It was, all the active directory mappings had been made months ago. It was already acting as the primary. It should have been really, really simple to take it off the network, right? Should have been, right? But something went wrong somewhere 18 man-hours later, and the two of us were like, we're just going to have to leave it on the network and roll back and come back and try again another day. What went wrong? We have no idea. But when you logged in by Active Directory on a computer, all your files were where they were supposed to be on the server, but the computers could not see the user's actual directory. We do this for a living, and we couldn't figure it out, right? Yeah. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how qualified you are or how qualified you think you are.
Yeah, that's the key point.
There was two of us there. Yeah. We couldn't get it 18 man-hours later. And, of course, the worst part of that kind of work is you come in and you tell a client that you're going to do this. Yeah. And, you've told the client this is going to take like 2 hours, right? You can't charge for the rest of the work.
You can't.
I mean, you could, but you wouldn't be in business very long because you'd never get called back. You know what I mean?
No, you end up eating those extra hours.
You end up eating those extra hours.
That's the consulting work. That's not like it's not like they had someone employed there doing the job who could get paid by the hour or even salary.
Or was on salary. But that then brings you back to the user desktop experience, right? You go in there and you turn off these services and then something goes wrong. You then have to eat those hours out of your personal time where you could be watching kitten videos on YouTube. As opposed to, now you've got like, an hour to refresh, and you've got 5 hours getting your computer back to where it was, and you got to copy all your data back from backups. Or you could have just done a system restore and been up and running in 35 minutes. You know what I mean? It's just, you eat the time. Anyway, on to the show. That was off note. Wow. Speaking of Microsoft.
Yes. They announced they recently bought an email client company or software dev called Acompli. Acompli?
Yeah, Acompli, which is like, it's a really good client. They just basically bought it, rebranded it, stuck it out there, and it is like the best Outlook client on iOS, period.
Yeah.
And actually, as a side note, it's also the best Gmail client on iOS, but there you go.
But they're bringing it to, they've already laid out a preview for Android, and I'm waiting for it to hit the desktop. Now, I would like to use Outlook. I would like to use Outlook.com, but I have one really big problem with Microsoft's email handling.
What?
Spam controls suck.
Gmail still has them beat on that.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
There is nobody better in the biz than Gmail spam controls.
Yeah.
But
the Gmail interface is kind of...
Well, I'm using the inbox right now. Their new experimental branch.
I'd love to, but I just have too much stuff to manage for that. Yeah. You know what I mean? There needs to be a really awesome cloud PIM. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's where Outlook shines, right? Gmail is, without doubt, the best online email client with spam control. Outlook on the desktop is, without doubt, the best PIM out there.
Yeah.
I want a merger.
Yeah, I know.
I need the best of both worlds.
I think that's what they want to do with Acompli as far as design is concerned.
Yeah.
Because Outlook's going to get a revamp.
Yeah.
Now,
well, did you see as well? They also put out like a
calendar company. Did
they?
Yeah.
Which calendar company?
So I think Sunrise. I think it was.
Are you sure it wasn't Sunrise the name for the email the calendar add-on for Thunderbird?
Let me do a quick. Let me see if I can pull it.
Well, while you pull that up, did you notice that they also released for Android tablets Word, Excel, and PowerPoint for free?
Oh yeah.
Of course, you need. I think you need to be running anything above 4.4, and only certain processors are supported right now, which is why you always go for a stock Android device. But yeah, that's been pretty cool too. Except, of course, when you log in, it immediately asks you, do you want to upgrade? And, buy shit. But it's only the first time you log in with your Microsoft ID. Steve, you look deeply confused.
I can't find it right now. But yeah, no, they bought a calendar one, so a very similar, very mobile friendly, and very modern design to it, which they are going to be putting out. I think that they said it's going to be a standalone right now. It's going to maintain its presence the way it is. It supports Outlook Calendar. It supports MS Calendar, and it supports Google's Calendar, the iOS Calendar. It supports all of them. And word is that they're going to pull that in to replace their. Just as Acompli is going to be a revamp for Outlook, this one's going to be a revamp for their calendar.
Cool.
So yeah, they're I get so tired of seeing people diss Microsoft, especially the post-Ballmer Microsoft, because they are doing some pretty funky stuff.
Well, you see, the problem is you have fanboy syndrome, and it's also just habitual at this point.
True. Yeah, it is.
Actually, Mark Hopkins did a great post on Facebook last week about that. It's worth going back and having a look at. But he was basically on about, how people are, I think it was to do with the HoloLens, and people were dissing the HoloLens and saying, Microsoft is going to screw this up like they screw everything up. And yet Mark just put this long list of awesome franchises and hardware and stuff that Microsoft has out there that is wildly successful, because Microsoft, the company that screws everything up,
Even the Surface, okay, for all the flack that it gets, it's $1 billion company.
Yeah, it's doing its thing, man. I'm jealous. I want a Surface. I just can't justify $2,000,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I do. I mean, it's so funny. I'm gonna call my wife out and I'm also going to lose my man card with this particular statement. So we were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a couple of weeks ago, before it went off the air for the season break. And apparently there's this scene where I forget what her name is. She's one of the new agents, tall.
Oh yeah, I know.
Anyway, she's out and about with Coulson, and she's got a pair of sunglasses in her thing, and apparently her top ends up coming all the ways down to here or something, right? And Sarah called me out on the fact that I didn't notice the display of cleavage because I was too busy pointing out the fact that she was carrying a Surface Pro 3.
Well, let's put it this way: you gave up your man card, but you kept your geek card.
I kept my geek card. I gave up my man card. So,
While we're still on the tech, did you see the leaked memo from Twitter from the CEO?
Oh, that they just basically suck at dealing with abuse and trolls, and they do, But I think. It's like any other company. There was a time when Facebook sucked at it, and Facebook still sucks at it, may I add.
Yes, they do.
Because Facebook has gone from one extreme to kind of another now that, a semi-organized band of 50, 60 people can pretty much take any Facebook page down if they put their hearts to it,
Yep. Well, this is what he said. I am aware that Twitter is well within... Oh, no, hang on. We suck at dealing with abuse and trolls on the platform. We sucked at it for years. It's no secret, and the rest of the world talks about it every day. We lose core user after core user by not addressing simple trolling issues that they face every day. I'm frankly ashamed of how poorly we've dealt with this issue during my tenure as CEO. It's absurd. There's no excuse for it. I take full responsibility for not being more aggressive on this front. It's nobody else's fault but mine, and it is embarrassing.
Now,
he also followed up the next day with another post, a public one, where he again stated, let me be clear, this is my responsibility.
I'm going to tell Dick Costello that he needs to go away, have a few whiskeys, and just say, you know what? Fuck it. Because here's the thing. Right? Beyond giving users the ability to block other users and block users from messaging them.
Yep.
There's really not much you can fucking do. It's a public platform where you designed, the whole core idea of it is you spew forth your stream of consciousness publicly so others can view and comment on it.
Yes.
Right? There will always be trolls. You have the means to block people who are being abusive, and you have the means to make your thing private. Twitter could possibly implement that, if you're blocked by X amount of people, we will manually review all your tweets and see, whether or not you are allowed to continue on the service, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, right? But there's just it's the same Facebook has the same problem. There's too many people on the service to sort of go through everything every time somebody is blocked, right? I might block you tomorrow just because you say something I don't like. Doesn't mean you've done anything wrong.
And putting up some little flag that where you can click to report abuse is not going to make a difference.
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, maybe you could put counters on it. Maybe you could put, inside a user's dashboard when they log in, you have been reported X amount of times for abuse. Some sort of, I don't know. All I do know is that if you're going to get out there and put your stream of consciousness publicly on the internet, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on a blog, you better grow a thick fucking skin, because it's human nature to call people out. It's human nature to say things that you're not going to like. And don't get me wrong, there are people out there who take it to the extremes, and there are people out there who issue, I'm going to kill you and blah, 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 right? And who turn around and they say, I'm going to fucking rape you, or whatever the case is, right? Now, you know what? An abuse button with a simple script that when the abuse is tagged, right? Not on the user's profile. You do it per tweet, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? So when the tweet is tagged as abusive, person is automatically blocked, can't see your stuff, and a script runs that knocks certain keywords against it, right? So if the term rape or associated terms is involved, it's automatically flagged for immediate manual review.
Yeah.
And then a decision can be made, right? And information passed on or otherwise. There are ways and means of doing this. But like any platform, the vast majority of abuse complaints will not be complaints that require legal intervention or threatening people's safety. Now, the ones where that does happen get massive attention, right? So they kind of, not that they get blown out of proportion, because obviously it's important that those things are highlighted, but they get a lot more attention than the vast majority of the abuses that actually happen. So, yes, there are things that they can do, but no, Dick Costlow doesn't need to be coming out and hitting himself up so hard about being unable to control basic human nature.
Let's be honest. It's PR.
Well, it is and it isn't. Because, this got leaked, right? And then he had to come out and make a statement.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. Yeah, so damage control.
But you know what? At least now every time anybody says they're going to rape me, it should be immediately searchable on Google.
Yeah.
Right? Because Google just paid for the fire hose again.
Yeah, but here's another thing that Google pays for, along with Amazon and Microsoft and a bunch of others. They're paying AdBlock Plus to show their ads. Now, excuse me. Now, I understand. There's AdBlock. Free, which is free, and there's AdBlock Plus, which you pay a subscription for, or whatever, what you pay for.
To let through, non-intrusive advertising, I believe was the wording the last time I looked at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, go back to 2009, probably 2009. I might be wrong on my dates, but around about the time AdBlock Plus came out, you and I ranted on another podcast. We had this discussion before about how this was the biggest fucking scam ever, with the sole goal of getting money out of companies like Yahoo Ads, Microsoft, Google, the whole lot. It's a scam. Yes, that's all it is. Yeah, it's a fucking scam. And you know what the easy answer to it is? Don't pay the fuckers. Block the damn extension from the app stores. Just block the damn extension for interfering. Right? Interfering. Because here's the thing. Google has a responsibility to its AdWords publishers and has a responsibility to its AdSense publishers. And by allowing this, it is doing its AdWords publishers out of potential ad views on sites that they are bidding for, and it's doing its AdSense publishers out of revenue.
Yep.
Right? Adblock Plus is violating all of that. And as far as I'm concerned, I've been ranting about this for years, right? If you come to my website, you accept the advertising that I put on there. That is your payment for visiting my website. Okay?
Yep.
It pays for my domain. It pays for my bandwidth. It pays for my hosting. And if you don't like it, go to another website for that information. I will, and there's kind of an unspoken agreement that I will do my best as a publisher to make sure that you don't get hit with shitty ads and pop-ups and stuff, so that it's non-intrusive as possible, right? But there's no agreement that says you come to my website and you use a third-party script running in your browser to change what I'm delivering. So basically, you know,
that's the problem. I also have with things like
social agreement is the wrong word for it, but what I'm delivering, what I'm getting in return for delivering to you for what you're seeing is being removed because you just don't want to see a fucking ad. Now,
but there's a whitelist, Paul. You can add that. You know, they could add your site.
Really?
To their whitelist.
How many sites do people genuinely add to their fucking whitelist? They don't, right? So you're ripping fucking publishers off. Because you might say, oh, well, you know what? I really like The Verge. I'll put it on my whitelist. But 99% of people won't put it on their fucking whitelist.
Yeah.
Okay? So here's the deal. Block that shit, right? Just get rid of those extensions, right? And roll it into your search algorithm as to sites that have, I mean, it's already in Google's search algorithm, right? If you don't have enough content above the fold and there's too much advertising, you already get penalized for it, right? Yeah. And the long and the short of it is this, and the real truth of it is this. Websites that put advertising before content don't last long. They fall apart, right? People don't go to them anymore. You might go to it once by mistake, but you won't go back there again.
No. While we're on the subject of advertising, you see this one where Commissariat Colombo has found they're doing this rather, I don't know, kind of fucked up one as far as I'm concerned, but this weird advertising campaign where they are attaching headless mannequins that are dressed in, you know, fancy clothes or whatever to quadcopters, and they're flying them around office buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a quick knockoff one. Yeah, but the company dressed up headless mannequins for Black Friday, added a price tag, and flew them past high-rise windows on quadcopters.
Now, are these mannequins, or I assume they're not actual mannequins as much as
they're probably, because that would be
inflated little things or something, because they're going to be heavy for the quadcopters to. But yeah, that looks bloody freaky. Man, imagine sitting in your office window, just do. Oh, fuck! As that thing flies around outside, like, 10 stories up.
I know. It's I saw that and was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
That's kind of genius, actually.
It is actually very ingenious, but it's very. I wouldn't want to be the executive that looks out the window to see it flying by his office. That would just be like really fucked up.
Wow. Of course, just don't do it around here. People be complaining to the FAA.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the meat of what we want to talk about.
Wow, we have meat?
Yes, we have. Well, the Daredevil might have meat.
Ow. And you like his meat.
Well, leave that one alone. I'm not touching it even with his 10-foot pole. We're starting to get more and more info about the Daredevil show that's coming up on Netflix as part of a 4-pack between Marvel and Netflix.
Yeah.
And there's a really good post, it'll be in the show notes, where they I can't see who did this. but they sit down with the showrunner, Stephen S. D. Knight, and they talk about the series. And I just a couple points. The costume. Because when he starts out in he doesn't start out with that famous red suit.
No, he's like everybody else. I mean, Batman didn't start out with a Batman suit either. He went around and, even in the Dark Knight movies, I mean, he didn't even start out with a Batman suit. He went around in like black pants and balaclava,
But what I like is they're saying that they've been heavily influenced by the Man Without Fear arc of graphic novels, which is probably one of the best arcs of the Daredevil.
Daredevil. The Dark Knight Devil.
Yeah, Daredevil. What they said, where's the costume part here?
So this is really a Genesis story, right?
Yeah. His suit, which we will call his vigilante suit in the beginning, we tried practically everything design-wise. We experimented with a lot of different headpieces. One version was a ski mask with the eyes sewn shut. We tried everything until we found something that just felt right. And also, really going back to Man Without Fear, I can't say where his costume ends up, where it goes, but this is definitely an evolution. I like the fact that they're at least using some of the canon of Daredevil instead of going, well, we're going to do it all on our own, like I think some of them will do. The other thing I really like is the fact of what their emphasis on Vincent. How do you pronounce his last name?
D'Onofrio, I don't know. Anyway,
he
was the Edgar suit in Man in Black.
He was also the principal detective on Law and Order.
Dude, he's been in lots of stuff. He's an awesome actor. So he's going to be Kingpin. He's going to be Wilson Fisk.
And I think that is it. And apparently he's bulked up. Like this guy can go from our build to like big and then back. So he's been bulking up for the Kingpin role.
He's a tall man on his own anyway.
We also got the extended trailer for it. Now, between the trailer and this, what's your feelings on Daredevil?
Well, it won't be as good as the movie. No, I'm only joking. I don't know. I mean, it's Netflix, right? So they actually have the opportunity to keep it dark, gritty, and adult.
Yes.
Right? And as long as they keep it dark, gritty, and adult, we're in good shape. However, as I think I tweeted to you yesterday, this guy looks a bit too baby-faced to me. Right? I didn't use the word baby-faced. In fact, I said he looks like bloody Harry Potter. He looks a lot. I suppose he doesn't really look like Daniel Radcliffe, but there's some parts in the trailer where if you just pause it, it could be Daniel Radcliffe. And I'm like, I don't really need to be thinking of this guy as Harry Potter running around, waving yet another wand. But if they can keep it, they have an opportunity here to do what they couldn't do with Constantine because it was network. What they can't do with a lot of other shows because of where they are. They have an opportunity to make episodes that don't have to worry about advertising and advertising breaks, that can have strong, fluid stories, and that can be mean, dark, gritty, adult, and the way it's supposed to be. They actually have the opportunity to make a proper live-action comic.
Yeah. Now, the other question I have is, I know it's been policy with their original shows to dump everything all at once. Are they going to be doing that with this?
I haven't heard yet. That hasn't been mentioned. I mean, they could drop it, or they could do it episodic. If they drop it, we'll binge watch it. We'll talk about it on the show for 1 week, and then it'll be over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like there are the other 3 shows that are coming along with it as well. I know that Jessica, whatever it is, it's in production. I can't remember the other 2. Luke Cage, I think, is the other one. Can I make a suggestion?
Can I make a suggestion, right? The last episode of season 1 of Constantine airs tonight.
Yes.
Okay? If ABC doesn't renew it, I beg and plead for Amazon, for Netflix, to pick this up. Same cast, same crew, just pick it up and make season 2, right? Because it belongs somewhere like Netflix. Yeah. And, you know, the viewer base is out there. I know for network TV, it might be falling down because so many of us watch it after the fact. Yeah. Network TV only cares about what's on now. Right?
Yeah, but see, even that's changing now because they're going like debut night +3 +7 to take into account. They say take into account the DVR. But I think there's also the fact they're taking into account the downloads.
Yeah, but it's still not influential enough. No. And I really fear, because we still haven't had an announcement, that it will not come back for season 2. If Netflix wants to be doing great, edgy shows that have a loyal, massive fan base, Constantine, man.
And let him smoke, for fuck's sakes. That's part of the character.
Well, you see, that's why I'm saying Netflix is perfect for that, right? Because they can do what they want with it. Yeah. And let it be, because I can't think of any other actor in the world who could be a better Constantine than Matt Ryan.
Yeah. I like his characterization of Constantine. I really do.
And I'd like to see him work without the limits that are being put on him by ABC, you know?
Yeah. While we're on the subject...
I hijacked Daredevil.
Yeah.
But the consensus is Daredevil should be good.
Yes.
Should be good. I have high hopes for it.
So do I. And I'm kind of scared that they are going to dump it all at once, because that's going to just totally fuck me up for a weekend. I know it is. Are you... by the way, that is going to hit April 10th.
Cool.
On Netflix. So it's not that far off, folks. Well, yeah, it is. It's like almost 2 months. That's too long. Anyway, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When's it coming back on? It's March
3rd, I think.
Can we not get this sooner, please? I want my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But they announced that they are going to be adding an Inhuman to the cast on a regular basis.
Really? Did they not just do that by turning Skye into some freaky fucking alien?
Apparently, what this is Mitchell will be joining the cast. He will be playing Lincoln. He's a charismatic Inhuman who helps Skye control her newfound powers. With the revelations surrounding Skye's true identity in the winter finale, we knew we'd be introducing more Inhumans as our story progressed.
Okay, can I just bring one thing to the whole Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing?
Okay.
She needs to go.
Wait, what?
She needs to go.
Skye?
Yes. This whole plot line of her being a fucking alien, it's going nowhere. It's gone nowhere. They've drawn it out the entire bloody season 1 and half of season 2, and it's going nowhere. What is the end game with this plot other than she's not human? And she's annoying.
You know, like, okay, the rumor is, and I don't know how accurate this is, but the fact that there is rumor that there is going to be an Inhuman movie, and that this is the storyline that is going to tie into that movie, just as they try and tie into, like, they had the what was it?
Look, if we're going to do aliens, let's not do aliens that look exactly like people. Because there's no bloody point. And what was the... I don't know if I ranted about this on the podcast or not, but you remember the very last episode? Right?
Yes.
And they're in this cave thing, and she touches the thing, and she gets covered in stuff. Yeah. And then she does the sort of... It was all like, Mortal Kombat! You know, and all the bits are flying off her. And I'm like, what? Just... No! She is... You look... In a season and a half, they have they have moved her from inept, annoying hacker to semi-adept but equally annoying field agent.
Yeah, but really, they don't have any other...
Then get rid of her! She is one of the weakest characters on the show.
Maybe
if they didn't need her to tie up the whole Ward thing and have an excuse to have Kyle MacLachlan on the show, I mean, just... she annoys me.
No shit.
She annoys me almost as much as the character played by Elizabeth Henstridge. The other brunette on the bus.
Oh, the doctor. The scientist.
Fitz and Simmons.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Because all her stupidness with Simmons since he's... Right? Since he's dead, yeah, because everybody listening to the audio podcast knows what dead means, right? Since he's lost his nut. Are all her sort of, ooh, my angst, I can't talk to him, blah, bollocks, grow up hair, right? I actually like her character, but they're killing her character with this whole stuff that is going on with him. And the problem is that they're starting to they've introduced more characters to the team that have stronger personalities.
Yeah.
But yet they're trying to keep these characters as the focus, and there's a problem with that. That doesn't work if it's a character-driven story. Skye has no character. She's...
she's an empty vessel.
She's an empty vessel, and that doesn't work for me.
How would having Bryan Cranston being the villain in Star Trek 3 work for you?
Is he going to give everybody blue meth? Is that going to be his thing? Is he going to be like an intergalactic drug dealer that the Federation has to get shut down? You know? Are we going to have an awesome scene where Captain Kirk and Spock get high and finally diddle with each other like we've known they were going to do for 50 years? Because they're high?
Well, none of this is confirmed. Okay, but the Film Divider has come across some info about Paramount's upcoming Star Trek 3 that is very interesting. The juiciest bit is that the villain in this sequel is supposedly Bryan Cranston-like, to the point that Cranston himself has had words with the studio about taking the role.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan Cranston-like could just be... You know, Bryan Cranston-like could just be, you know, when somebody's jotting their script notes, fleshing out characters, and they're just saying, you know, we kind of want him to be like Heisenberg. You know what I mean? Yeah. We kind of want him to have these kind of personality traits, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that it could be as little as that. But really, I really do think they should. It should be like... and then it should be like a Dune crossover, right? Because what it is, right, is...
the sand, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, Bryan Cranston is like the Heisenberg in space. He is trading spice.
He's a spice trader.
Spice trader illegally, right?
And they actually use that as a spin-off to an actually good Dune movie series.
Yes, they could.
Yes.
There we go. We've just melded two completely... although, you know what? The kind of whole Dune universe could actually be rolled quite interestingly into the Star Trek universe without breaking canon. And here's why, right? In the Dune universe, right?
Yeah.
The people that control basically their warp,
yep.
Right? They're mutated by the spice so that they have the mental capacity. Right? Now, just bear in mind that this may be happening in a different galaxy or a different part of our galaxy that Federation hasn't gotten to yet. Because, even at current Federation times, they've only visited, 10% of our galaxy or something. Right? Star Trek TNG episode where the Traveler comes on board and meets Wesley Crusher. He manipulates warp space with his mind.
Yes.
Right? So, it is functionally possible that they could both exist within the same universe without breaking canon. So you could actually do a Spice crossover.
You could.
Goes
but
into
on
the
that
Dune
note,
universe.
I know you've got a busy day ahead of you, so we're going to call today's show to a close.
Yes, because, what other way to bring a show to a close than joining two disparate sci-fi universes?
I know, it's perfect. I've already got the show title. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is up on YouTube when you're seeing it. We will be back next Friday for another round of geek discussions on the GeekD podcast. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Paul. I will let you get back to your headaches and your work and stuff. And I will see everybody around. But remember, the most important thing, folks, keep it geek.